I want to get the power MOSFET boards mounted and wired up. Then I can get back to the electrical testing. It looks like the best place to mount the MOSFETs is right in line with the mounting holes for the heatsink. Go figure. So I'm replacing the short screws that I had holding the heatsink in place. The new long ones are 1.5 inch in length, which will give me about 7/8 of an inch of threaded stud for the mounting bar, spring, and nut. That will be enough. The aluminum bar to hold the MOSFET in place is 3/4 an inch wide, 1/8 inch thick, and about 3.7 inches long. It will have to have an offset bent into it, as the center has to go over the MOSFET, and the ends have to fit on the 7/8 of an inch threaded stud under a spring and nut. I'm going for about 22 degrees on the bends. This will give me about 1.5 inch of flat space to hold the MOSFET, so I'll have a bit of leeway in positioning it. Very close to flat and straight. I'm happy with it. I may put a bow into the flat center section so it contacts the center of the MOSFET and not the edge, but I'll wait and see exactly where it sets on the MOSFET. The mounting holes will be offset from the center line. I want to move the bar down just a bit so I can lower the MOSFET module. I want the PC board to be about in line with the top of the heatsink mounting bracket. The mounting bar goes on, then the springs, then washers and nuts. The springs are the ones that came with the Noctua heatsinks. They don't have to compress much to yield 10 pounds. When both heatsinks are mounted, there will only be about a 1/4 inch clearance between the ends of the opposing screws. But the nuts won't have to come off to install or remove the MOSFETs, so really any clearance will work. It will be a little tight getting a wrench into the nuts, but I can live with that. The power connection to the MOSFET board needs to handle 30 amps. The connection will need 9 inches of wire for the negative side and 7 inches for the positive side. 14 gauge would be about the bare minimum, I think, but I'm going to use 4 times that. I'm using 4 highly flexible 14 gauge silicon insulated wire to make each connection. I really wanted the pliable wire so as not to put the board under so much stress. 4 wires get soldered to each terminal area on the board. The only thing here is to solder them without melting all the solder holding the copper sheet to the PC board. I don't have any strain relief on the wires where they solder to the PC board. That might be a problem long term. The individual strands in this wire are very tiny, and if the wire does much bending where the solder wicked up into it, strands will break, so I'll have to watch out for that. I do like this silicon insulated wire, very nice to solder to. The other end of the wires get soldered to a copper lug, and these I can put a strain relief on, in the way of some heavy-duty heat shrink tubing. I'll clean the barrel of the lug with a bit of isopropyl alcohol, then wipe some flux inside. The challenge here, to get all the strands in the lug barrel. Fortunately, there's editing, so it looks like all the strands went in the first try. Put the soldering iron to it, then just adding solder till I see a bit down in the barrel. I don't want too much to wick up into the wires. Let it cool, then put the heat shrink on.
Tilt it up a little bit more.
I really like using the hot air station for the heat shrink tubing. Sure beats the heck out of a regular old heat gun. Well, that's them. We'll still have to make some component adjustments to them, but they are ready for testing. Yeah, it's not going to be too bad to take the MOSFET modules in and out. If things will go a little smooth, might not have to remove them but 3 or 4 times. I sure won't have any problem applying pressure to the MOSFET. I may have to make me a gauge to show just how much to compress the springs. I want 20 to 25 pounds of pressure pushing on the MOSFET. Going to clean the copper with some Scotch-Brite and put some anti-oxidizing contact cleaner on the mounting areas. I think those will get me a pretty good 30 amp low resistant connection. Probably a bit overkill. But that's starting to look like something. Thank you for watching.